Hello. I'm just in a t-shirt, look. Blue sky. You can hear the lovely birds. It's glorious, it tells you. There you go, now you can see the sky. Look at that. Bode, you're licking. Come on. So anyway, I got a little bit of advice, I suppose, for you. I made a video called, God, what did I call that video? Again, my brain's gone a bit woolly today. Okay, so what did I name the video? Do you know, I honestly don't know. How funny, I've totally forgotten it. It was something like stop giving. No, it wasn't anything like that. Stop giving your time to somebody who doesn't deserve it. It was basically that. Walk away from somebody who no longer serves you. It was basically that. It wasn't called any of them, but that was the premise of the video. Do you remember? Anyway, it was on the back of a phone call. A friend phoned me up and we was having a chat. Anyway, since then, I've had a couple more chats, a couple of long chats, and I gave him, I suppose, some advice. You know, I don't really like to give advice, but you know, what else can we call it? It's glorious here. Lovely look. Just thought I'd show you around quickly. Yeah, I suppose it is advice, and you know, if we've got some knowledge to give to others, then why not impart that knowledge? That's what I think. So basically, he was saying, saying a lot. He said how difficult it is to let go of a friend, especially somebody who once was a good friend. And I said, yeah, I totally agree. There's always a reason for it, though, why you need to perhaps let go of that friendship. And it's the same as anything, really. You need sometimes to let go of, I don't know, the job you do, where you live, I don't know, the things that you once really enjoyed, the hobbies or interests or whatever. Sometimes things perhaps no longer serve you, and you've got to think, okay, my life is going to be better off without this person, this thing, this job, this whatever. So what I said to my friend was, always take yourself back to the beginning. So if you've got a best friend and you just feel that, I don't know, that friendship has run its course, or you just feel that it's always you doing the friending, or it's always, you know, there's a problem and you can't put your finger on it within the friendship, the relationship, or you just don't feel the same about that person as you once did, you know. Or it could be, as I say, it could be your house, it could be your, I don't know, set of friends you hang around with, what you do as a hobby, it could be your job. You know, have you fallen out of love with your job? Is your job no longer fitting you in some way? Do you find yourself getting wound up, upset? Do you question why you work there now? Whereas, of course, once you didn't. So it could be lots of different things, and lots of us go through it. If we don't go through it, then that's wonderful, and what that means is you've grown with that. So you've grown with the job, and that's wonderful. Or you've grown with the best friend. You've accepted each other's various ways and various changes as they come along, and you know, that's great. And it could be anything. Could be anything. But I said to him, always take yourself back to the beginning, because that's where the answers lie. So what do I mean by that? How peaceful. Glorious. So quiet. Yeah, so what do I mean by that? Well, you should always take yourself back to the beginning to find the answers. So if it's your job that's winding you up of late, you take yourself right back to the beginning. If you've worked there for, I don't know, 10 years. So 10 years ago, just think, can you remember going for the interview? Who interviewed you? Can you remember that? How did you feel when you got the letter or the phone call saying you got the job? Really think it through. How did you feel? Do you remember how you felt? Doesn't matter now about the job, how you feel about the job now. Do you remember getting that letter and telling your partner, your mum, your friend, somebody, guess what? I got that job I went for. Do you remember that? I love you. Bodie, I love you. Hello. Yeah, take yourself right back to the beginning. Try to imagine what you looked like 10 years ago. Were you thinner? Did you have more hair? What did you look like? Did you have more of an accent? Have you lost your accent slowly over the time, over 10 years? Do you remember the staff you used to work with 10 years ago? And they're no longer there now, some of them perhaps. Do you remember your first day? How unsure you were walking into that door thinking, is this the right bloody door? Oh shit, where do I put my bag? What about my coat? Oh, I could do with a Slurpee. How do I make a cup of coffee? Is there a machine or a kettle? Do we have to pay for it? I don't know. Oh, what time's break? I need a piss. Where's a bloody toilet? Do you remember all that stuff? I know you know it all so well that it's become not boring, but you're just so used to it. You never have to think, where's the toilet? You know, where's the kettle? You never have to think that. Anyway, so you've taken yourself back to the beginning, to the start. And you've got to think, why did you apply for the job in the first place? Why did you want it? Bode, come on, don't lick my love. So you've done all that. Now, my advice, this is how I see it anyway, is that by doing that, you've got one of really three things, but it's one of two probably is the main things. So that will, by doing all that, will reaffirm in your head why you took the job, what the job actually really means to you, why you bothered in the first place. That might come flooding back. You may have forgotten certain things, what you used to do. You may have forgotten how it made you feel. Did you walk home, drive home, cycle home on your very first day feeling proud? And now you just jump in your car, say, oh, that's another day done. You know, could you find that pride again? Is it there? It is there somewhere probably. So you take yourself all the way back to the beginning, and that reaffirms why you went there, why you wanted the job, what you hope to achieve, what you hope to get out of the job. Or it could make you think, Christ, all that stuff has changed. It's no longer the job for me. I don't fit in this job anymore. This is why I'm feeling a bit, like that with the job. I need to buck up my ideas and leave. That's what I need to do. I need to start looking around. Why I took the job in the first place no longer exists. And my manager's left, and I've got a new manager, and I don't like that manager, and it can go on and on. So that's what I tend to do. When I can, when I'm able to, I sort of think back to the very beginning of whatever it may be. And I suppose the third thing really is it just wakes you up in your mind and you think, okay, I need to try and get some of that back, how I felt at the beginning. So what do? How can I go about it, and who can help me, who can advise me, what can I do, what can I change? And it just gives you a little bit of a jolt. So it's good to think. That's what it's all about really. Wow, got lots of blossom. Beautiful, wonderful time of year, especially when we're just in a t-shirt. Just listen to the birds. Wow, lovely. So of course we can use this little technique with anything. So if you've got a best friend that you no longer feel really connected to in the way that you did, so why is that? So you do the same as what we just did with your job, so you take yourself back. Do you remember the first day you met that friend? What did you think? You probably never thought for a single second that this person will become close in my life. This person will become my best friend. You just thought, oh, that's a nice person, or whatever. And then your friendship grew and grew and grew, And as it did, what did you want out of that relationship, that friendship? Why was it important to you? Can't see him. I can certainly hear him. Oh, there he is. Anyway, so you do all what you did with your job, but now a friend. So why and how did that person become what they mean to you or meant to you? And what's happened since that, there seems to be an issue? Why do you no longer feel the same? you lost something? A bit of respect, a bit of trust, a bit of love, whatever for that person? If so, why, how, when? When did that happen? You take yourself back to the beginning and to remember how you felt. You'd known that person for a month or 2 or 3 and they phoned you up and you were so pleased to hear from them. And now for some reason, when they phone, you're not going to tell anybody this, but you've actually ignored their phone call on occasion. Or, they phone, you go, oh God. And then you put on a voice, oh hello, so pleased to hear from you. Is that how your relationship is? And if so, why? But going back to the beginning may give you answers, and it may say to you that okay, I no longer feel like that, and for some unknown reason, for no reason, I've grown to become a different person. I am no longer I no longer feel like that about this person. And if I remain friends with this person, it could become quite negative, quite toxic, quite whatever. And I don't want that. And I don't think my friend deserves that. So I'm going to have to cut ties and let things go. Or again, by going back, it may reaffirm things in your head. You may think, oh God, yeah, wow. Oh, I remember we did this and we went there and oh, he said this to this person and I laughed and oh, I remember when he bought me this or she bought me that, or I remember when he stood up for me when I couldn't that time. I remember she was there for me when I was ill. I've forgotten all this stuff, and it reaffirms that actually that friendship is more than valid, more than keeping on. And as I say, you can do that with anything, jobs, houses, whatever. But just to end this, I believe that all these things that may cause us problems, whether it be a friend, a best friend, a job, a relationship, a husband and wife, where you live, what you do, your interests, whatever. I believe that sometimes things have a bit of a limited shelf life, and I'll tell you why. Because we outgrow things, and we do. You're very, very lucky if you grow with your job. If you've been in your job 10 years and you still love the job, you are more than lucky. And if you've had a friend for 10 years, or if you're happy living where you are for 10 years, whatever, then you are very, very lucky, very blessed. Hello. Yeah, and we do grow, we do change, and actually sometimes there's nothing wrong with that. I had a friend a long time ago, and we used to hang around together when we was sort of 15, 16, 17, 18, going right up to 21 maybe, 22, 23 possibly, no more than that, but 7, 8 years, something like that, quite a while. And we went to parties and all the rest of it, and that was lovely, it was great. And I moved away and moved on with my life. That's the norm, I think. Hello you. And I moved back to that town 40, 50, 32 years later. Even though I'm only 26, I moved back 32 years later and bumped into this person. And he said, come round, you know, here's my address, it'd be lovely to have a chat. So I said, yeah, okay. And I know I've said this in in probably 2 or 3 videos, but I'll say it again because it just sort of cements the point, really. Anyway, I did go round and we sat and had a chat for a while. And he was very quiet, really, but you know, that's fine. And he said, so, you know, what have you been doing for a job? And I told him, you know, I've been teaching. And, you know, told him various different things, bits and bobs, what I'd been doing and who I'd met and what I'd instigated at work and different qualifications that I'd gained. And, you know, it went on. Not bragging, I was just saying, you know, he was asking and I was saying. And you know what he said? He said, fuck me, you and a half changed. And he said it with a screwed up nose, fuck me, you and a half changed. I said, well, of course I have, it's been 32 years. You know, so we do change. And it turns out with that one particular friendship that person couldn't accept my change, the change in me. I wasn't the Bry that he used to know all them years ago. So when I'm saying about, you know, the possibility of maybe losing a friend or a best friend or a job, a house, whatever. And when you go back, take yourself back to who you once were, think about the person you were, because if you're best friends with somebody today and it's been 32 years, that's fantastic. Hey, but is it any reason to keep the friendship alive if it no longer serves you, if you feel awkward, if you feel there's a bit of toxic sort of nonsense all the time, or if you feel that it's always you who has to do everything, make the first move? Hello, he wants to play in a minute. I'm going to have to get this BALL out. But basically then, so you think about who you were. So when we're talking about a friend, so when you met that friend, what attracted you? Who were you? And who are you now? What type of person are you now compared to who you were back then? And if you were working part-time in a shop when you met that person, and so was that person working part-time in that shop, and every chance you got, you used to get stoned or go out over the weekend and get pissed and what have you, and all that was fantastic back then. However, 30 years have gone by and you no longer work part-time in a shop. You're a whatever, barrister, you know, solicitor, you're a policeman, whatever. You don't take drugs and your life has moved on. Perhaps their life hasn't moved on to the extent yours has, or their life has moved on and it becomes like a Y, you know, you're travelling up the path, you go that way and the person goes that way. That's what happens sometimes. So you are no longer that person, and we are no longer that person anyway. If you keep in mind that every single atom of me, every element of me dies and grows, then I'm a completely different and new person today than I was 30 years ago. I mean, we know that because the skin falls off and you've got to hoover it up, or Bode, please. You know, the size of us, the size of your stomach or your kidneys or whatever, things grow, things change, things evolve, and you are not that person. God, when I started work, I was 15, I was a little skinny rake with gorgeous hair. I did have hair when I was 15 for a while. But please, you can't stop, can you? Anyway, so it was supposed to be a 5-minute video about a little bit of advice, but it was an hour long. Full of nonsense. Anyway, if you got something out of this video, then that's great. I'm very pleased. Okay, so whatever you're doing, just think that I am no longer that person. And it's true, you know, I am no longer that person. So do I need to carry all of that stuff into now? You know, if it's 30 years have gone by, say, or 40 years, do I really need that group of friends from 40 years ago? Or that house or that job or whatever, you know, do I really need that? Even your hobbies and interests, everything changes. Everything changes. That's life. Okay. If you can get outside, because it's beautiful. And soak in this beautiful prana. It's wonderful. Take care then, and be well.